Okay, good morning, everybody. Sorry about that, just having some issues at my end. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the fifth weekend of Scotland's Climate Assembly. Fantastic to see everybody back, and hope you've had a good few weeks since we last saw you all. So I'm just going to share my screen for a few slides, just a few things for us to cover by way of introduction before we kind of dive into the main agenda for the weekend. So first of all, just a quick reminder that if you need to contact the support team at any point during the weekend, you can do that in all of the normal ways. So email, text, phone, or let your facilitator know if you're in a small group, and they'll also be able to contact them. And we've got Juliet and the rest of the team on hand again this weekend to help to kind of solve any tech issues or anything else that you need as well. So please do call on them if you need. As before with the Zoom controls, if you want to make kind of presentations bigger, then you can do that by selecting the standard view, and that should make sure that when you're seeing slides like I'm showing at the moment, those should kind of show up nice and large for you. So, quick reminder of the assembly question. You know this well by now, but it is: how should Scotland change to tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way? We're now on our fifth weekend out of 7. So we now have that additional 7th weekend added on the 20th and 21st of March. And so 2 more weekends to go after this one. So this weekend, I'm going to quickly run you through the agenda of what we're going to be covering. So you probably would have noticed that we're starting out in our homes and communities group again this morning. And the focus of this morning is going to be returning back to your draft recommendations from the 2 communities questions. And Daisy will introduce those 2 questions again in a few minutes. So you'll have time to kind of review the proposed kind of draft recommendations and the goals, and do some more work on those. That will be followed by an information carousel where we have 4 speakers joining us later this morning to help you kind of refine and kind of work on your recommendations further. So opportunity for you to kind of ask them questions and get their support in helping you to kind of refine and prioritize your recommendations. Then after lunch today, we'll be returning as kind of a full assembly. So all 3 of our topic groups will be in one group together. And we'll be covering 3 different things this afternoon. The first will be a video presentation from the Children's Parliament. As we mentioned at the kind of previous weekends, they had to stop their work for a little bit because of the COVID situation and lockdown. But we've got them back for another presentation for this weekend, which is fantastic. We'll also be covering some assembly business, so particularly looking at how the assembly will make decisions and the voting process. So we'll be going through some options with you for that, and there will be an opportunity for you to vote on which is your preferred option for how the assembly kind of makes its decisions and votes on your final set of recommendations. And then we'll also be hearing from Chris Stark, who's from the Committee on Climate Change, about kind of costs and ambitions of climate action. There'll be an opportunity to ask him some questions as well. So that's the agenda for today. And then looking ahead to tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be back in our stream. So back with we're kind of focusing in on the communities and homes topic. We will have a final evidence presentation tomorrow morning, which is around the updates to the Scottish Climate Change Plan, and a bit of time for Q&A on that. And also a bit of time to think about kind of what that means for the recommendations that you want to make as an assembly. And then in the second part of the morning tomorrow, we'll be returning to the recommendations that we've been working on from the 2 homes questions. And again, there'll be an opportunity to kind of review and refine those recommendations, and another a group of kind of 4 experts that will rotate around your groups and be able to kind of give you additional information, answer questions, and help you to kind of refine those recommendations further. Then after lunch tomorrow, we'll give you the results from the votes we'll be holding tonight on the assembly business, so on the process for making decisions and on how you kind of vote on your final recommendations. So you'll kind of find out the result of that tomorrow after lunch. And then the final thing we'll be doing for the weekend will be kind of confirming the overall goals and the proposed recommendations you want to take forward to the assembly at the 6th weekend, where we'll kind of be returning to look at things as one kind of full assembly. And so that will be the point at which you kind of decide which of the goals and recommendations you want to kind of put forward for that. So that's what we're going to be covering this weekend. Quickly, just to remind you of the conversation guidelines. So we have kind of one person speaking at a time. Actively listen to each other, give everyone time to talk. And I think this one particularly important as we're getting into the real kind of nitty-gritty of coming up with recommendations and kind of refining them. Do make sure that you're kind of giving space for everybody to be able to be involved in that. Be open to changing your mind. Give everyone space and time to express views. Support and encourage others to speak up and say what they think. Respect each other's opinions, even if you disagree. Speak to others like you want others to be spoken to. Be patient, both in conversation and when using technology. Be conscious of other people's sensitivities. Keep language respectful. Feel free to be honest. Appreciate our differences. Disagree without being disagreeable. Yes, interesting point. Have you thought about this? If someone says something you don't agree with, don't react immediately, but take a few moments to pause, think, and make a considered response. Look for similarities and not differences in opinion. And the final set are be open to challenge and changing your minds, even if it can be uncomfortable. Turn cameras on where possible and stay muted when not talking. Keep on topic and time. Ask questions. There are no silly questions or answers, and be aware of jargon. Using it can be helpful, but important to make sure everybody understands. So I think we have one of the conveners, Josh, with us this morning. Is that right? Josh, do you want to say a few words just as kind of introduction?
Yeah, hi everybody. Great to be joining you all this morning. I've been in the diet and lifestyle group just up till now, so it's really good to be joining this Homes and Communities one. My job's not really to contribute. I'm just kind of here to listen in and observe and kind of feedback to the facilitators and just help the process in that way. So very much looking forward to listening in on your conversations today.
Great, thanks Josh, fantastic to have you with us. And we also have Daisy back with us for this weekend, and Daisy's just going to kind of remind us of the communities questions that we were focusing on at the previous weekend. So over to you, Daisy, and I'll also bring those up on screen for you as well.
Morning, hi, thanks Tim, and welcome everyone, weekend 5. I was just looking back through, just in preparation for this weekend, just looking at some of the evidence that everyone's heard and some of the emerging recommendations. And it's just incredible to see what journey we've all been on. You know, I feel far more informed and far more engaged with this topic. And I hope all of us in this room feel the same. I am here this morning. Unfortunately, I can't be here for tomorrow. Try and dip in when I can. My fantastic colleague Ian's going to be around as well to guide us through the weekend. So just to let me share my screen if I can. Just to remind ourselves of what our questions are. So as Tim said, we're looking at the community strand today. Tomorrow we're going to look at homes. So the 2 questions that we are focusing on, how should Scotland change how it plans its communities to tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way? And the second question is, how should Scotland change how it delivers community services to tackle the climate emergency in an effective and fair way? So I think I'm just going to hand over to Tim, and yes, really looking forward to this morning and where I can dip into the rest of the weekend.
Great, thanks very much, Daisy. Fantastic to have you back with us for this weekend. So I mentioned in the introduction there what we're going to be focusing on this morning, and that is, as kind of we've just heard from Daisy, these two topic questions that you looked at the previous weekends. And the first part of this morning is going to look quite similar to the task that you did on the two homes questions at the previous weekends. That's enough from me for now. So we're going to now put you into your breakout groups to start that conversation with your facilitators. So over to the production team to set those up. Okay, welcome back everyone. So for the remainder of this morning, we're going to have our information carousel. So we're joined by Daisy and 3 other speakers, and Daisy will kind of introduce each of the speakers in a second. And they're going to be joining your groups for 10 minutes at a time to kind of help to answer questions and give you kind of additional information that will help you to kind of really kind of focus and refine the recommendations that you want to make. So these conversations are very much about kind of you and kind of what you need and kind of you driving them. So focusing on the recommendations you're most interested in and getting the benefit of the extra kind of information and insights that the various different speakers can offer. So there will also be one kind of empty slot. So we have 4 speakers and 5 groups. So for one of those slots, you have a bit of time with your group to do some kind of discussion and reflection, and really hopefully kind of think about where you want that additional information from the various kind of evidence leads as well. So I'll hand over to Daisy now to introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. And yes, we have 3 incredible speakers who are here to help answer questions and start to maybe look at your discussions in a different way, just to be there to help the discussions going forward. So delighted to welcome Philip Rabel. He's from the Scottish Community Climate Action Network. Philip is the convener of the Scottish Communities Climate Action Network and an independent researcher, a community activist, interested in community-led development, renewable energy, and climate action. He's a founder member of Sustaining Dunbar, which is a community development trust with an explicitly green agenda and part of the Global Transition Network. He's also on the boards of Community Energy Scotland and Scottish Community Alliance. Philip, thank you for being here. Philip can answer questions on community energy, on renewable energy, community climate action, and climate justice. We also have Heather Claridge. You might remember her from a couple of weekends ago. Heather is from Architecture and Design Scotland. She's a chartered planner, urban designer, geographer at Architecture and Design Scotland, currently on secondment from Glasgow City Council. She has over a decade of public sector experience of developing urban regeneration and planning initiatives. In Architecture and Design Scotland, Heather leads on a new project focused on whole place planning for decarbonisation and a changing climate. And Heather talked through some of the principles of carbon conscious places last time she was here. Heather can answer questions on planning, urban design, geography, urban regeneration, decarbonisation, climate adaptation, green blue infrastructure, place principles. I'm also, extra grateful for Heather being here because she is due to be a mom next week. So, it's brilliant that she's given up time and, to be here and to be part of this conversation. Phil Prentice has joined us as well from Scotland Towns Partnership. Phil is the Chief Officer of Scotland Towns Partnership and National Programme Director of Scotland's Improvement Districts. STP, which is the go-to body for Scotland's towns. It's a hub for promoting all things towns and a hive of activity for learning, connecting, finding practical support and advice, and sharing good practice and knowledge. Phil can answer questions on place principles, on the Town Centre Action Plan, National Planning Framework, Community Climate Action, very grateful again, Phil, for you being here and giving us your time today. I'll be here as well as part of the Carousel. I'm here to answer questions, again, planning, practice, policy, urban design, 20-minute neighborhoods that we talked about last weekend, and place principles. So really, really looking forward to the conversations. And yeah, back to you, Tim.
Great, thanks very much, Daisy, for those introductions. So we'll have Heather going into Group 6 to begin with. Group 7 won't have an expert or speaker to begin with, so a bit of time for you to think about kind of where you want to get their help when they do come around to your group. Daisy will be joining Group 8 to begin with. Phil will be joining Group 9, and Philip will be joining Group 10. So you have 10 minutes with them, and then we will kind of shuffle everybody around. We'll be putting the kind of notifications up for how much time is left. Do keep an eye on those, because we will just kind of move the speaker at the end of their slot. So so do make sure that you've kind of you've been able to finish your questions and your answers by that point. So with that, I'll hand over to the production team to put everybody into the breakout groups.